All right. Well, hello and welcome everybody to this Sunday. We're celebrating our CE5 and spirituality group meetup. And we have a special guest for this webinar, Melissa Faith Ramirez. And I'm just going to read a little brief intro that I have for her, and then I'm going to share my own connection with Melissa. Melissa Faith Ramirez is a shamanic priestess, a trauma alchemist, and a sacred union initiatrix. I had to even look what that up. I didn't even know what it means. It's somebody who's a female initiator, an activator. I loved it. With years of guiding individuals and couples through transformational work, she channels safe, sensual, and spiritual grounded spaces where healing becomes holy and communication becomes communion. She does one-on-one private work available, and she also does free intro sessions if you're interested in coaching, connecting with her. She'll do an exploratory call to see if it's a right fit. She also does different little workshops around the world. In 2025, she plans to do something upcoming about the Catskills and another event in Hawaii. In 2026, she's going to be doing something in Morocco and in Egypt. That sounds very exciting. Her website is www.thenewsexy.love. And so I just wanted to share with you, I met Melissa both at Rays of Light as well as through our CE5 group. And she's just a beautiful soul. And she's one of our community, our soul family, because she's a light worker. And what's so amazing, if you get to actually talk with her one-on-one, like all light workers, she's been through the SHIT, all done the rough stuff. But her trauma, her experiences, they help shape her, and she's been able to help a lot of people. And she's very passionate about helping couples. She's very big into the divine feminine and divine masculine, and that in September we're going to plan to do a presentation together at Rays of Light. Way in September because I'm so focused in work right now. I'm busy, but she also helps a lot of people in terms of dealing with I don't know what else to say it, Melissa, but sexual trauma, like abuse and
Mhm.
things like that. And she's had a lot of different experiences, and I'm just so fascinated about how sometimes the victims become the perpetrators. And really, Melissa's all about helping, empowering people, and that's why I think she's a perfect guest speaker for the CE5 community. So it's going to be an hour and a half presentation. It's going to be talking, then a Q&A, but Melissa's going to take the lead. We're going to be here as co-hosts to help facilitate. I'm going to mute everybody's microphone and we're going to let Melissa just share. Okay, so please give it up for Melissa. Thank you so much.
Aloha, everybody. So good to see all your faces here. Thank you for joining. And I can safely assume if you're here today, it's because you're feeling the shift that we are literally experiencing as we speak. And funny enough, I had heard this first week in July, there's going to be a lot happening, and we're seeing it globally already taking place. And I believe we're also needing to do all that shifting within ourselves. So it couldn't be more divine timing for me to come here on July 6th and be able to have this conversation with all you beautiful souls. So it's going to be quite interactive if you allow it to be. I love playing hot seats. So if anybody here, as we're going through our workshop, feels like there's something that they want to share, which generally the entire audience resonates with it some way, shape, or form, and they would like to come on a hot seat, then we can do like a quickie interaction in order for me to be able to tap in of where you are and how I can be of service for you within minutes. Within minutes, this transformative work can happen as quickly as you allow it to. It's quite magical, and the space that I've created coming in will allow all of us to fully step into our authenticity. All right. So thank you for the introduction, Tim. I'm so happy to be here. Like he said, I'm Melissa Faith Ramirez. And I have been to hell and back, for lack of a better term. But I really think all of us light workers experience very similar have very similar experiences, because you have to kind of walk through your walk in order to be able to talk your talk, right? And we're really in a space now where we're discovering, what is our passion? What is our purpose? Like, what tickles our fancy? What's delicious? Like, what's a fuck yes? Right? Like, and how do we turn that into a profit? How do we turn that into a project? Like, how do we actually allow ourselves to live a life where everything we're stepping into is really allowing us to be in our fullness, to be in our potential. So thank you, all of you, for being here. I really appreciate it. It takes courage to walk this walk. So I commend all of you. It's much easier to be like, oh, ignorance is bliss. I'm not going to pay attention to this. Then I'm going to just keep living in my conditioned state, right? And we've all been conditioned. We've all been programmed. I believe we're in a space of learning how to deprogram in order to now reprogram. And if we understand that as the basis of this conversation, that it's really just a big game we're learning how to play in, right? Like how our trauma is actually our teacher, right? How do we go from being a victim to becoming victors, right? When you allow yourself to do this work, you start recognizing that all of the experiences you had a purpose, right? So my journey began when I had sexual trauma as a little girl, and I was very awake and aware to all of it. Um, and I remember 5 years old when it happened. It was a defining moment for me to realize how to learn to save myself. And I heard it in my mind as a 5 year old, but that's something I had to walk through in order to realize how to actually embody. Because we can logicify this experience as much as we like. We can talk about things. We can psychologicalize it as much as we want to, but we really have to learn how to integrate and embody it in order to be able to actually be that light that we need for the next that are waking up in their process, right? And it's fascinating how here we are. I've been creating this emotional toolbox for some time. It's something that I've only kept private to my individual private clients. It's not something I was ever very public about. But now I'm feeling like I need to make it a bit bigger and create some sort of a membership or some sort of an opportunity for all of us to really continue to practice these tools that are going to be brought to you today. So I'm going to give you a little taste today. And if you want to go a little bit deeper, like he mentioned before, my website, and you can find information there to move forward. So now we know how I got here from my own trauma, from my own experience. And really, it was a state of absolute surrender, right? The more I fought the process, the more experiences would happen, and I would try and logicify and make sense of it, the harder it was for me to move through. Right? I really believe it's about, we have to, in order to get through it, we have to, hold on. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. In order for us to move through something, we actually have to allow ourselves to feel it. And I always say we have to feel it to heal it. And I really believe the experience becomes harsh because we don't allow ourselves to sit with it. We don't allow ourselves to actually feel it. We don't allow ourselves to actually allow ourselves to integrate it, right? We're really good as human beings to distract, and we're really good as human beings to pretend everything's okay. Everything's okay. Everything's great. Like I always used to be that person too. Everything's great. Everything's wonderful. And inside I was dying and finding every possible avenue to distract myself, to numb myself, to not feel everything I was feeling, right? Because us highly sensitive people, us empathic souls, we feel a lot. And I actually wanted to share something with you that has been coming in quite clearly, is how this, and this can be a little bit controversial for some folks, but I'm all about the controversy. So buckle up, kids. Um, the being an empath is actually a trauma response. So hear me out, right? So we are children and we live in a chaotic home. And chaos doesn't necessarily mean fighting, screaming, punching, kicking, cursing, right? A chaotic can mean those silent arguments. Chaotic can mean watching your parents go to bed angry, not resolving their issues, and the next morning acting like everything was hunky dory, peachy keen, perfect, right? Chaotic can mean you see the elephant in the room that nobody else sees. Chaotic can mean we've got a lot swept under the rug and nobody chooses to face it. And as a child, when you're experiencing this type of chaos, you become hyper vigilant and you become really attuned to what the parent needs in order to relax them, calm them down, redirect them, right? And when you're so hyper vigilant, it becomes your default, right, in life, becomes a program that you attain. And then you become an adult. And then you're continuing to be hyper vigilant. And then it becomes now with this conversation around empath has become very popular. A highly sensitive person has become very popular. I woke up back in 2010 when nobody was talking about this. The few people that were talking about it were masked or they had their voices distorted on YouTube. There was so much fear around what was being discussed. Um, but this realization that came through about becoming an empath has really helped me to understand how we can empower ourselves as empaths, right? That we're not victims to being empathic. Being empathic is an actual gift. Having that sensitivity, being able to detect things that we can't physically see or taste or touch or feel, it can be a gift for us, but when we're not aware of it, it just overtakes us, right? And I'm the first person to say that I was really good at doing that. It's like, oh, I can feel your pain. I know what you need. Let me tell you what you need to do so I can help fix you, so I can help heal you, so I can help, right? Like, I don't even think we're actually healing anybody when we're doing this process. Like, I really believe we're just the vessels creating that space for the individual to actually realize on their own how they're meant to heal themselves, how they're meant to come to the realizations that they need to move through their process. Right. So I heard that very clearly to start our conversation today, how being an empath can actually be a trauma response. So a big part of the conversation is how do we identify those root causes, those conditioned patterns, those unresolved traumas, okay, that are playing out in our psyche, right? That were served to us or we created ourselves because we create everything consciously or unconsciously in order to move through our process of evolution. Right. And once we can start identifying these unresolved traumas, these unconscious patterns, not until we have the awareness can we actually create the change, right? Because we're really good as humans, being able to see how somebody else has a pattern or somebody else is behaving in a way that's not kosher, right? And we're quick to do this. So how do we turn the finger around and recognize what's our responsibility in the journey, right? What can we shift within ourselves so the dynamic between us and the other person may shift, may not shift, or help us discern that we need to pull away, right? Like, I think there's a lot of value in recognizing how we have to put our oxygen mask on first. It's definitely one of the emotional tools of the emotional toolbox, right? How to the word selfish has such like a conniving kind of like attachment to it, but selfish has the word self. How do we take care of ourselves, right? Because at the end of the day, my loves, like we came in alone and we're going out alone, right? How do we learn how to fill our own cups? How do we learn how to put our oxygen masks on first so that we can actually be in our fullest and that our love just naturally overflows, and from that overflowing is how the magic actually happens. Because a lot of the times when I'm working with my people, there's nothing really that I'm doing, right? It's really just holding that space, holding that presence. And from there, it arises what is needed, right, in that moment for the work. So, mhm, I'm just checking in, my love. So there's a lot of energies coming in right now that are like, hey, share this, share that, share this, share that, and I'm just gonna check in and say which one is. Mhm. Okay. So let's get into some of these tools, right? Let's get into some of these basic tools. So, grounding. Okay. We, as highly sensitive beings, we're constantly transmitting information. We feel, taste, touch everything that's going on around us, right? How do we actually discern what's ours? And how do we release what is not, right? How do we recognize how to ground ourselves in order to be able to receive the information that we need, rather than it just be a chaotic madness that just bombards us, right? That's what we call anxiety, right? I really believe, um, I went through my own mental health. I'll share with you, I went through my own mental health journey where, again, back in 2010, when I first woke up and I lost my shit, for lack of a better term. Like, it was a complete psychosis. I was suicidal. I wanted to leave the planet. I think that's a very deep resonance with a lot of people that are light workers and empaths, right? We're like, we don't feel like we belong here. And in that period, right, what do you do as a New Yorker? You go to a psychiatrist, right? But I went against my will. It wasn't like something that I desired to do. It was kind of more to appease my family, because my family was like, "What's going on with you? You got to go get help." And okay, so I went to the psychiatrist, and it was like an out of body experience. It was, it was out of a film, for lack of a better term. It was definitely a character I put into my play. It's another thing that we do, my loves, right? Because we create our reality. We're pulling in the characters that we need in order to have the experiences to bring about those self realizations and bring about how we're discerning, how we're going to do things differently, right? What are we going to shift? What are we going to let go? Bow tie, little round glasses, little handkerchief, like typical pulled out psychiatrist kind of look, and just asking questions and checking off boxes. And it was an out of body experience because I could see he had no emotion, no attachment, no compassion, just doing his job, checking off the boxes. And he labeled me dissociative personality disorder, schizophrenia, some really mental health disorders that have symptoms that mimic awakening symptoms, right? So, what's an awakening symptom, right? An awakening symptom is something that you experience when you're going from a carbon based body to a crystalline based body, right? What does that mean? When we're carbon, we're dense, when we're programmed, when we're carrying our unresolved trauma, when we're just kind of living life according to the way we were taught to live life, not necessarily the way we desire to live life. Our bodies are dense, right? They're condensed. And then in this process of awakening, we're shedding, we're releasing, we're letting go, right? We're realizing what no longer serves. We're realizing how patterns need to be released. And then as we're going through that process, our body becomes more light, right? That's what we're called light workers, right? Because as a light worker, living in our light is when we could be of our best service, right? Because then it's not the logical mind trying to figure out strategically what the right response is. It's more just being able to receive, right, from the Akashic records, right, the information that we need in order for that individual to self-realize, in order for that individual to step into their truth, right? So, so when I when I was diagnosed with these mental health disorders, 8 prescription medications on the first session, which was really fascinating. I picked up a little piece of paper and my body projectile vomited on a psychiatrist. So that for me was like, this is not the path I am meant to be walking on. Right? It was like a harsh, like, okay, this is not where I'm supposed to be. And it was a surreal experience. It was hilarious. I got to share with you guys. So here's this guy with little beady glasses, vomit all over his face, up into his neck, taking off his glasses. All you see is little blue eyes. And I'm just like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Not sorry. It was like one of those moments where I was like, oh my God, had to happen exactly the way it needed to happen. Right. And I left the office recognizing this is not the path I have to go on. And shortly thereafter, I heard the calling to actually move to Hawaii on a one-way ticket. And that's when I actually started my journey, in order to really dive deep into who I am and what I need to do to walk my journey and really fulfill my mission here on planet Earth. So many times I believe in this society that we're living in right now, these mental health disorders that a lot of people are defaulting to, right? What's depression? Depression is this meat suit doesn't fit anymore. This identity I'm carrying doesn't fit anymore, right? It's just, It just doesn't feel right because a lot of the times we're doing things in accordance to how other people want us to do it. So I went down my journey and I started diving deep and I started kind of connecting the dots and realizing that a lot of these symptomologies that I was experiencing were just in accordance to what I really needed to sit with and realize my own power, right? Because that's what the journey is, my loves. The journey is remembering our power. The journey is remembering who the fuck we are and who we actually desire to be, right? Because we are creators of our reality, right? And when you really start experimenting this, I am the creator of my reality, and you start recognizing what's going on in your mind and how whatever is playing out in your mind is exactly what's taking place in front of you, then you start realizing this is all a big game that we have to learn how to play in. Okay, so grounding. Grounding is one of the most necessary tools that all of us light workers need. And what's a great way to ground? Barefoot, walking barefoot in the grass, right? And now let's just say you live in Antarctica and you don't have access to grass, right? That's okay, right? Something as simple as visualizing yourself walking in the grass, feeling the grass in your mind, in between your toes, feeling the wind in your face. That alone mimics the opportunity for you to actually have that experience. Okay, so grounding. Um, Eating good, nutritious food, right? A lot of us default to uh, numbing ourselves, right? Because we need to just feel better about ourselves in that moment. And there's no fault to anybody. Been there, done that, check, right? It's just a matter of actually creating awareness and start doing it differently, right? So being aware that what you consume consumes you, from your media, from the food that you eat, from the relationships you have, from the conversations you have, from the job that you hold, right? All of that plays a role in how you are operating in the world. Okay. What's another fun one? Okay. I believe in sacred rage. A lot of people are like, don't be mad, don't be sad, don't be PMA, positive mental attitude, everything is great. Like positivity has, right? It has its purpose. However, let's let's be real with ourselves. Like I always say to my people, I'm like, we got to learn how to stop playing ourselves, right? How many times are we doing the same thing over and over and over again, knowing that it doesn't fit or work anymore, but it's just all we default to know? So, how do we stop playing ourselves? How do we stop fooling ourselves? We're so quick to recognize how other people are fooling us. Like I'm staying here at my goddaughter's place. I'm here in Florida, hence her bedroom, right? Um, and sweet 10 years old, complete freaking starseed, this girl. It's like amazing. Every time we connect, we're like going into different galaxies. Her parents are like, what the hell's going on? And I'm like, don't worry, we're just gonna play, right? And and it was so wild to see how her at 10 years old, I just lost my train of thought. Woof. This is fascinating. This is fascinating. One second, my loves.
You were mentioning about fooling ourselves?
Thank you, baby girl.
Okay.
So here she is trying to fool me, right? Right? She was like kind of going around something and trying to convince me of something. And I was like, my response was like, you can't fool someone who has been fooling herself all along. And she kind of looked at me. She's like, what are you talking about? And then I explained to her how we sometimes are not able to see what we're doing ourselves, but we're so quick to see how somebody else is doing something they may be fooling us. And it was such a magical conversation with her at 10 years old to realize how by her trying to manipulate the conversation because she wanted to get something in that conversation, she was actually fooling herself. Because in the end, I wasn't jiving with it, right? It's like, so how do we create that inner voice, right? To have that back and forth conversation with ourselves. Something I adopted along the way is, when I was in like a panic or like a highly anxious situation, it's like I would pause, put my hand on my heart, take a deep breath, and I'm like, okay, Melissa, what's going on here? And I would have this conversation with the Melissa that's living in that patterned world where she's fooling herself to the Melissa that I desire to step into, right? So a lot of that is also conversations around like the inner child, like the talking to the inner child who wasn't felt or seen or heard or loved, right? And then the adult speaking to that inner child, the adult speaking to the inner child, letting them know like everything's going to be okay, you are loved, you are seen, you are witnessed, you are heard. So that's a great tool that I adopted along the way that really helped me to kind of regulate my nervous system in one of those moments of complete sheer panic, because I totally get that. um, and just recognize how to start calming down my nervous system and creating more of a balance, right? Because it's like when you have that conversation with yourself and you're like, wait a minute, this makes sense. Like, why am I continuing this? Why am I continuing to hurt myself? Right. And having that loving conversation that you would want from the mother or the father, or that figure that is more knowing, right, than yourself, right, to help you understand how to move through the process. So sacred rage, right? We have been taught to not feel, to not speak, to not have emotions. And I'm actually here to say we're feeling beings, right? I say we're a spiritual being having a human experience, right? And the purpose of us coming to planet Earth is to actually move through all of those experiences, move through all of those emotions. And I believe in the end is to really learn how to dance with all those emotions. Because imagine a life without emotion. Imagine a life where you're just kind of like moving through the process, right? Which a lot of us are until we actually wake up. But imagine keeping that on repeat, right? So it's like, how do we allow ourselves to have this range of emotions and learn to move through with them? So sacred rage, like you're pissed off, you're angry, you feel betrayed, you're angry at yourself because you keep repeating the same pattern. Grab a pillow, scream into that pillow, right? Go to the bed, punch the bed, punch the pillow. I was living in Hawaii for 10 years. I'm kind of moving around the world now. And like Tim had shared, there's a lineup of retreats coming up in 25 and 26. Um, but in Hawaii, for me, the forest was my backyard as a shaman. Like I'm always living in the forest. I'm always living with nature. And I would just go out into the forest and I would scream at the top of my lungs, right? Just getting all that out, right? Verbal vomit, going to a journal, right? Somebody just betrayed you, somebody just lied to you, or you just feel betrayed, and you just like, go to the journal. Fuck you, I can't believe you did this to me. Get it out. Get it out, right? A lot of the times when we don't get it out, then we're going to default to looking for that mechanism that's going to numb us or it's going to help us cope. Why are we coping? Why are we just not feeling it fully so we can bring it to the surface and transmute it? That's what it's about. That's what we're here to learn, right? So sacred rage, beautiful. I actually, one of the retreats that I hold for women is called the Wild Women Unleashed, right? We really tap into that, right? Because we're seeing now what's going on. The Pope that passed away recently, he was one of the first popes that actually said Mary Magdalene is not a whore. She was actually a very pivotal, right? Very pivotal character in this whole process. She was Yeshua's wife, right? She's the feminine that Yeshua came home to get reignited, to go back out and do his work, right? So we're in those times where we're realizing that women have been carrying a lot of this rage, right? Because of they've been shunned, they've been shut away. And then with men, a big reason why I work with men now is because I remember I had a lot of experiences with men, sexual abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse, where as they're perpetrating their violence onto me, I could still feel their pain. Right? Talk about a freaking empath, right? I could still feel their pain. And through feeling their pain, I was justifying their behavior, right? So it's not about who's right, who's wrong, who's good, who's bad. That duality keeps us separate. It's about recognizing what do I want to keep playing in, right? So it took me a long time to discover that I no longer had to stay in those relationships. Right? I no longer had to fix them or heal them or do anything. Because I remember I went through a period. It was like, oh well, I was raised Catholic. I'm Colombian. I call myself a recovering Catholic. I had to go through my whole experience where I had to recreate my own relationship with God, which I did. I had my own relationship with Creator, right? Um, and it was like God brought me this human, and it's my responsibility to fix them, to heal them. I'm just learning that now with my father, who's 85 with dementia, how to really heal that relationship. And healing that relationship has allowed me to step into working with men because I always felt that men's voices were shut down. I always felt that men had these very these societal constructs, societal standards that were imposed upon them, right? And if you don't do X and if you don't do Y, you're not a good man, right? If you feel, if you cry, you're not strong man. There's nothing more delicious as a feminine to be able to witness a man in his vulnerability, right? Any human in their vulnerability. Because when we allow ourselves to be in our vulnerability, that's when we're taking everything off. And when we take everything off is when we allow things to move through as they need to. When we let go of the grip of how things need to be. When we let go of the control of how we want things to happen, right? Let go and let God, a lot of people say, right? That's another beautiful tool in the emotional toolbox, right? It's like you have this incessant thought. I say we have a broken tape recorder in our heads, right? That's constantly playing the same pattern, the same loop, the same you're not good enough. I think we have a collective wound that we're not worthy as human beings, right? So it's like when you identify that loop, hands on your heart, deep breath, watch the loop. Don't judge it. Don't give it a story. Detached Observer, Eckhart Tolle, one of the first books I read, The Power of Now. Beautiful book. That's the first book I have all my clients read. If you haven't read it yet, please allow yourself to do so. Detached Observer, and just observe the pattern and then declare out loud, I do not give permission anymore for this pattern. And then shift it and say something differently. We are that powerful, my loves. We're that powerful that just by declaring with our words alone, the reality can shift. Now, is it stored in our body? Will it continue to pop up? Absolutely. Right. And that's why somatics is also a very important part of the work. Somatics is doing work with our body. Right. So that's why like the punching of the pillow has a lot of power to it. Yoga has a lot of power to it. Right. Dancing, movement has a lot of power to it. Right. When I work with men, we go into the forest, right, and we go tribal, right? And a lot of the men that I work with, it's the first time they've allowed themselves to actually feel, to rage, right? To be in their primal nature of being a warrior, right? How do we step into that spiritual warrior? How do we have that balance of feminine and masculine? Right? That's sacred union. Sacred union is the feminine and the masculine in a homeostasis because we all have it. We deflect to one as a defense mechanism. I was that person, New Yorker, corporate America, at a table with 15 men. I knew how to play the game. That's what you do. And then I started waking up and realizing I don't want to play the game this way anymore. Something needs to shift. So then what did I have to do? I had to go to the other extreme and learn how to step into my feminine because I had no idea what that was. Because feminine for me growing up was sticking out your tatas to try and get attention. Right? Remember Benny Hill? Are we in that generation? Remember that show Benny Hill? No. Oh my gosh, I used to watch this with my father.
I remember Benny Hill for sure.
Right? Like 11 o'clock at night, I'm watching TV with my dad, right? And Benny Hill was like this charismatic Brit, right? And he was always surrounded by these beautiful women, these beautiful, like sexually, sexual women. And there's nothing wrong, right, with showing your body, right? But the question is, are you doing it to get the attention from out there? Or are you doing it just because it feels good within you? Right? And that's something we need to ask ourselves every day. Are we doing things because we're looking for the validation out there? Or are we doing things just because it feels juicy, just because it feels good for us? And 9 out of 10 times when we do something that feels juicy and feels good for us, we're going to piss people off. That's the truth of it, right? Like those of you that have been on this journey have realized when you start speaking for yourself and you start stepping into yourself and you start creating boundaries and you start saying, yeah, but no, I don't want to do that anymore. You piss people off because you're a certain character for these people in their play. But if they're not walking their walk, right, then there's a distortion. And that's when you have to choose within yourself how to move through that process, right? Okay, beautiful.
Melissa, do you want to hold off on questions or do you want to take them now?
I was just going to say, anybody have a question? On the same, I love
Bobby
it.
raised her hand, and then we have some questions on the chat.
Oh,
Oh, Bobby, you didn't raise your hand? It was an accidental boo-boo? All right. Okay, no
hi,
problem.
Bobby.
That's okay. Sorry. I actually don't know how I even did that. I don't even know how to raise a hand. So sorry about this.
Spirit did it.
But
It was when you were she was talking about the divine
honestly,
and
that is so
masculine.
bizarre. I had no idea. But Melissa, thank you so much for all of your wisdom. It's spot on with what I get as well. So you're right on. Yeah, just the work that you've done, kudos to you. Take my hat off. So at least say that. Sorry,
Thanks,
not
Mama. Thank
realized.
you. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks,
Wonderful.
Bobby. Jennifer posted a comment, maybe it's a slash question. When you try to heal or fix people, it tends to result in further trauma inflicted onto you. Lesson learned. Do you have any other comments about that?
Yeah, it wasn't a
Absolutely.
question. It was just an observation as you were talking. I felt like you were talking directly to me
Yeah,
because that's
yeah.
very much my current state. Like I have very similar trauma to yours, and I'm sorry you experienced that. And I know that it tends to make you feel responsible for other people that have gone through similar traumas. Or you just see that this person hasn't received support that you either also lacked or that you received and you wish you could give it to them.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of experiences where I've done that, and I take pride in being an empathetic and caring person, but it tends to get thrown back in my face either when the person doesn't help themselves or uses it to their advantage. So that's kind of put me in a difficult position more recently as I'm trying to do
Yeah.
that shadow and light work now. So I
Yeah,
don't know if I have
girl.
a particular question, but that was just how my thought was processing. My thoughts were
You're not
processing.
alone, Jennifer.
But
It's
thank you.
like it. What, baby?
But thank you for hosting this. Of course, like this is very insightful so far.
No, and thank you for being here. It's something that we all have to move through as light workers, right? Because I remember when I woke up in 2010, I was like, I got the magic ticket. Like, and and this is like after a psychosis, and this is like going to a psychiatrist and throwing up on him, and like there was a witch hunt. I used to work in corporate America, and there was a witch hunt to get me out because I started seeing the paper trail, right? The money trail where it was going, right? So I was a threat, right? But yes, to answer your question, what I'm hearing, if you're open to it, Jennifer, would you like to share your particular experience and we can do a quick hot seat?
There's been a few experiences actually. Yeah, so I was abused as a child, and then I struggled in school, got a lot of support from my educators. That was kind of like the first stop. And I actually have a Reiki healer that was pivotal for my healing in that situation. But it's just been like there was a 6 year relationship where he was an energy vampire essentially. So that affected me. Friends who dealt with addiction, and also abusive relationships. So saw a lot of myself in them. And now more recently, I'm now 2 months sober, but I did develop a very strong dependency towards alcohol, and to the point where I was impacting my ability to be amongst my friends and family. It didn't necessarily affect my job performance, but it affected my ability to cope in a high stress environment. So I'm trying to at the part of restabilizing myself and going back into my interests and just doing that work to find peace with what happened, because I am still kind of holding on to like that inner rage.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the inner rage and just forgiving myself and not self-flagellating.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that captures a good bulk of it.
Yeah. Kudos. Kudos, sister, for doing the work. So the first thing that's coming through is, how do we shift from fuck you to thank you?
Yeah.
Right? I think this whole toxic conversation is like the mainstream popular thing now. Oh, they're toxic because I have to release them. How do we recognize how, number one, we brought them into our play? Right? And how do we say thank you to the experience we had with them? Right? Because there was a golden nugget that we needed to learn. Right? And then the process is self-forgiveness, self-love, self-care, right? Rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. It's not an overnight switch, right? And how do we lean more towards loving on ourselves rather than going out there and helping the next? Because it's a default. It's like, oh, you need help, I can help you. I've been there, I've done that. But when a person's not ready, they're not ready. So we're going to be a threat to them. And that's where the acting out comes in. Right? So what I'm hearing right now, my love, is where can you do a bit more self-love?
I'm getting there. Like I've been going out more, reconnecting with friends that are better influences, reading. I've been told, my shaman told me to be closer to the water and meditate there. I don't know what the water symbolizes in my case because I'm a Virgo. Yeah, like it.
Balance.
So I've been given a few tools to release and explore more of my interests instead of, yeah, instead of
Is
just,
it feeling lonely?
it's a little bit lonely, I guess, more on the not drinking side, because I was out this weekend and my friend brought two boys and the boys seemed disappointed that I wasn't drinking and wasn't as fun because of that. And I wasn't really comfortable sharing why I wasn't drinking with those two guys. The other friend knows. But yeah, like that kind of got stuck in my head. Like, oh, I guess I'm not the fun person anymore because I had that social lubricant. But I wasn't like tempted to go back and drink because of it. I don't know. It was just an interesting thought that came to my head in the moment.
Yeah. Like a great observation, right? Because you're just like, oh, that was a character I was playing
Yeah.
because I was looking for the external validation. And now that I'm no longer looking for the external validation, right? The definition of fun kind of, it shifts, it changes.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, good. So water, are you going into the water? Or are you just meditating in the water, by the water?
I mean, I don't live close to the water. I live in the city, but
Okay.
I've been kayaking and like I've gone into like pools and lakes more recently.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, when I take sips of water, I was told to bless the water and kind of give my
Very good.
intentions as I drink it. So I've been doing that
Very
as
good.
well.
That's another tool,
Mhm.
right? Good. Thank you for teaching the course, Jennifer.
Hey.
That's another tool. No, awesome. Thank you. And you're doing it, my love. You're doing it. What I'm hearing is appreciating more of you time,
Yeah.
right? Exploring yourself, right? And also sensually, right? We as women, we're sensual beings.
Yeah.
Right? And when we don't have that connection to ourselves sensually, right? When we don't have a connection to our sexuality, it can be distorted. Right? So how can you explore yourself a little bit deeper? Right? You don't have to share, but yeah, just some things to allow you to kind of move through on your own. But that's what I'm hearing, like really allow yourself to step more into your own sensuality, right? To really, which is going to help you garner trusting your own intuitive guidance.
I think, and I don't want to take up too much of your time because a few people are asking questions, but I used to wear like lash extensions. I removed them, and not to say
Yeah.
I don't like them.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
like how they looked, but I'm going back into like appreciating myself and my own beauty, my body,
Perfect.
rather than that external validation that I would usually seek. So
Amazing. Amazing. And then you know what's interesting? Are you looking for a mate? Is that something you desire or
yeah, I'm 30. So I mean at some point, but I'm not rushing and going on the
yeah,
apps like I
yeah,
would.
yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Like you're like a stellar client. Amazing, Jennifer.
Eh,
Like amazing.
Today's a
No.
good day. Today's just a good
And
day.
that's another point, right? We have good days, we have bad days. It's like, how do we flow through it, right? But it changes, right? Because when you as a woman start owning yourself and loving yourself and stepping into your deliciousness, you start attracting a different type of male,
Mhm.
right? You start attracting a male that's actually going to respect you, right? And something I've really learned in this whole process is how do we as a woman stand in our power, but not like our fu power, like just our grounded feminine loving power. And that radiates, right? That's what gets picked up. It's not like what the bio says, on the, I don't even know apps. I haven't done apps in so long, but like it's not the profile, whatever, right? Because a lot of that shit's half of it's made up. Let's call a spade, right? Like, sometimes you read them and you're like, really? You're that kind of a person? Well, that's the person I desire to show myself to be.
Mhm.
But that's not necessarily who I am, right? So the more you do this work, the more you start magnetizing and radiating. And then you bring in a different type of caliber of individual. And you no longer need the apps because you just meet them in the middle of the library. Like that's real. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
it really is. Yeah.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. We have another question from Zach. Since you mentioned moving to Hawaii, I have to ask, as you someone who has lived there as a light
Mm.
worker, do you feel the Earth's heart chakra has changed to the island?
Has changed to Hawaii?
Yeah, that's my understanding.
Okay, so I'm going to share what my experience has been. So the fires that took place in Maui, I don't
Mhm.
even know what year that is. I feel like time is an illusion for me right now. There was the fire that took place in Lanikai, I think it was, um, where it just there's been a lot of controversy around how those fires started.
2023.
2023, thank you. So when that happened, I had this very revelatory dream, that it was man-made. It wasn't actually natural, right? And as I was experiencing that information, um, I'm very grateful that I have a close relationship with kupunas and kahus over in Hawaii. These very beautiful, beautiful humans that are really they are keepers of the aina, they're keepers of the land and keepers of the culture. And the men that were just these warrior men didn't really feel, all of a sudden their hearts started cracking open from that experience, right? So that has been my experience with the heart chakra in Hawaii. It's like the cracking open of the heart of Hawaiian men is what kind of like opened up this conversation worldwide of the corruption that's taking place, right? So that's my take on the heart chakra, yeah, in Hawaii.
Wow, thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Oh, awesome, Zach. The next question is, how do we learn to play this game of being human? Because once you learn the nature of this universe, there's no going back. Being human has been hard. If we choose not to play, then it's basically isolation. That's been my understanding. That's from Humpy Reddy's iPhone.
Thank you, my love. You can choose to play whatever you want to play. That's the beauty of free will, right? There's no mandatory. Like you don't want to play human, right? That's okay too. I've learned in my experience because I went through a couple of years what we call spiritual bypassing, right? Spiritual bypassing, which is like everything's light, love, just give them love. And it's like, no, there needs to be a balance, right? So in that experience of spiritual bypassing, It wasn't grounded what I was bringing to the table. And I feel like I wasn't able to be an authentic light worker, right? An authentic light worker is the dark and the light, right? The dark is just our shadow, right? And when we push that away, when we deny it, that's what causes the issues, right? When we embrace it, right, that we are all, right, then we're actually integrating and embodying the totality of who we are. It's when we are fragmenting ourselves that I only want to be this and I don't want to be that. Well, in some way, shape, or form, like we all have had experiences where we've done things that society would deem reprehensible, right? Or like a sin, right? That was my upbringing, right? It's like, I remember like, they were like, oh, you have to be a virgin and keep your legs crossed and, you know, and be modest in the way you dress. And then you turn on the TV and I'm like, what the heck? Like, like, wait a minute, you know? So it's like, how do we embody that? Right. So I've learned to be in my sensuality and be in my sexuality, right? And flaunt what feels good for me, right? Not what feels good for the other person to receive. So, yeah.
Awesome. Tom just shared a comment when you were talking about self-care. The CARE in self-care stands for compassion, appreciation, respect, and encouragement. Very beautiful. Thanks for
Oh, I
sharing.
love that. Thank you.
Tej, if I pronounced it correctly, so nice to meet you all. From the very young age, I never felt a connection with this world, and the people always stay away from me, no matter how kind and nice I try to be. I always felt like an outsider. Any thoughts on why? And Tej, feel free to unmute yourself if you want to add anything, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Nice to meet you all. So much I can, connect with experiences of the team here. And, but this is like my at a high level observation, and I can go back to my like childhood memory of maybe year and a half and forward, and I'm really confused that is this just me or there other people, I'm sure they go through this type of feeling, and this group seemed to be a good option for me to um, maybe get a few answers and some clarification and learn how if anybody else feels this way, and if there's any deeper meaning to this.
Can you repeat the question? So what's the
Like an outsider. She
she feels
felt
like
like,
an outsider.
and as necessary, when she's nice to people, she doesn't get that reciprocation.
Yeah. So I'm gonna call a spade, and we don't always have to be nice and kind. We have to be
No,
real.
what I mean by that is that, yeah, I can understand if I'm misbehaving with somebody or mistreating with somebody or trying to be mean with somebody, then person might want to pull away, right? That's a normal reaction. So when I'm saying is, if my behavior is okay, I'm always respectful, and why even still this happens, and also it's not just at the relationship basis, right? It's more like the group of people are standing and like in the neighborhood, and I'll go stand next to them. And one by one, I have observed this many times. One by one, these people will start moving away. And 10, 15 minutes later, the same group of people, they all circle maybe 5, 10 feet away from me. So I can see the people leaving even physical location. And they're not saying anything back to me, just how I observe the things moving around me. And this happens a lot. Like, especially when my children were young and I would be at the bus stop, right? Or any other gathering. I have seen this pattern. So
Mhm.
I thought it was something interesting
Yeah.
to me, and because it was repeating.
Yeah. So light shakes the dark, right? So first that comes through is you may be triggering these individuals without them even realizing, right? And
Yeah.
just by being you. And then the next thing that comes through is give yourself permission to examine where you may be betraying yourself in order to be kind or nice. And that's a deeper inquiry. If you're willing to explore, we can explore that here. If not, that's something I would ask you to sit with. It's very subtle. This is all very subtle, my loves, right? And this is why the meditation and sitting in your silence and journaling is and protecting your power, protecting your energy, protecting who you're interacting with, right? Is so incredibly important because it's in that silence, in that you hear the subtleties. Yeah. So light shakes dark. There's a lot of truth to that.
Yeah, and also in my experience, I've seen like people just, as I enter the room, they get really rattled, very rattled, and me not saying anything to trigger them or anything. It's just, I think, just me being there pushes some buttons, seems like,
Yeah.
which I don't even know why it's happening, and it's a pattern. It's a pattern
Do you
that
need
I've
to
been
know why?
observing. I do need to know why, and that's why I'm asking this question to you and anybody else who might be going through this or have any insight. So, yeah.
So needing to know why is control. Needing to have an explanation, needing to have an understanding is control. How can you loosen the control and just allow yourself to continue your path in being the light? Knowing you're going to trigger people. Like not everybody
Yeah,
is the correct. Hmm?
no, that's a great answer. But like when you see a pattern and when you see other people don't have this type of experience, and I always feel like guilty. I always feel like, what the hell am I doing?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, and that's why I'm more cautious, right? That just like I'm 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 trying to be more cautious that I don't, upset people, but it just happens. And I wonder, first, I'm like a person who always think that, okay, if there is something wrong with me, I need to fix it before I tell anybody else, right?
There is
And
nothing wrong with you. We need you. We need you in your light. We need you pissing people off, my love.
oh my God.
Now, it's not something you're doing on purpose. Just by being a light,
No,
you're
I'm
triggering
not.
people, right? No, of course not. But the more you stand in your light, the more you stand in your truth, right? The more you're giving this space for the people to move through their process. I understand the guilt that you're feeling, but it's not yours, right?
Yeah,
It's
I don't
whatever
want to take too
shame
much
they're
time.
carrying within themselves that is
Yeah.
just not yours. But you don't even have
Yeah,
to,
but it all,
you don't even have to examine that. Right? I think we put too much pressure on ourselves trying to understand all of this instead of just like focusing on putting our oxygen mask on first, doing what feels
right.
delicious for us, and then focusing on what we want to create. We put a lot of energy and time into other people and how they're doing things and what they're not doing, and it's exhausting. It's
It is
exhausting.
very exhausting
It's
for me because
exhausting, right?
what I'm a, and I come to a point where I have very few people who are around me.
Yeah, yeah.
People cannot tolerate me. People cannot tolerate me, and I don't know why.
Well,
You
that's
know,
amazing. Why would you want anybody to tolerate you?
I feel like when you go into society, people have few good friends, they have family.
Yeah, but we're freaks of nature,
Their
my love.
circle,
We're freaks of nature. We don't
and I'm
follow
like,
those rules. So the more you yearn for that, the more you're
no,
going to
I don't
suffer in the
yearn for it.
process.
I don't yearn for it. It's just that I want to understand that why it's happening because it is what it is. And if I'm not crossing my lane and if something is happening, it's their problem and not mine. But since you're here as an expert, right? That's what I wanted to see And then we turn my camera on. I don't know if you can see my face. That might
Thank
help.
you, Tish.
Okay. Yes.
Appreciate
Yeah.
it. Thank you.
Yeah. So, so yeah. So that's like it's a pattern that I'm observing, and I just wanted to understand, because and as the time goes, I feel like one at a time, my anchors are pulled out. You know what I mean? And all the
You're allowing the anchor to be pulled out, right?
it's going one at a time. It's yanked
Right.
off. I have very few left.
Right. So how do you take that anchor and put it back in? Not for them, but for you.
Right. Right.
Right. So a tool you could take on in that moment when you're having that experience, when you're bringing awareness to that pattern, is placing your hand in your heart, taking a deep breath, right? And
Okay.
saying, I do not allow this pattern to continue. I will continue being a light.
Yeah, it's very hard.
It's very hard. I totally get that, Mama. It's okay.
And this is going on for like 15 years. I do believe I went through my dark night of the soul process, but now it's like it's very hard.
Yeah. Can you do something with me right now, my love? Can you place your right hand on your heart? Can you close your eyes? Everybody join us. Place your hands on your hearts. Close your eyes. And let's take a deep inhale through the nose. Inhale. And exhale out the mouth. Inhale. Out the mouth. Last one, inhale. And out the mouth. So please repeat after me. Everyone play along. I state your name.
I too
Am a powerful being.
am a powerful being,
And I am here
and I'm here
to be the example
to be the example
of what it is
of what it is
to live this experience
to live this experience
to its fullest.
to its fullest.
I state your name.
I, Tasia,
Will no longer betray myself.
will no longer betray myself.
I state your name.
I, Tasia,
Will stand in my power
will stand in my power
and love myself
and love myself
exactly the way only I know how to.
exactly the way that I know how
And so it is.
to.
Take a deep inhale through your nose. Inhale. And exhale out the mouth. Thank you for sharing, Tej.
Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it.
Come back to the recording after this and allow yourself to rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. In order to reprogram ourselves, we have to repeat something that we actually want to bring in, right? So each time you're experiencing this overwhelming feeling, hand on your heart. And it doesn't have to be the same exact words. It could just be intuitively what comes out, right? But the more you allow yourself to interrupt the pattern by declaring that, the more you're going to see a shift. Okay?
Thank
you. Thank you. Thank you for your vulnerability.
Thank you so much, Tej. That opened up stuff for me too. I think for a lot of people in the call, I started tearing up a little bit because I feel like Melissa, we're actors. We're trying to play for all these other people and not be authentically ourselves. You know, you and I know I've done a lot
Mm,
of landmark, and it's like when you have a loss of power, it's there's some inauthenticity with who you actually are. You know, they don't talk about spirituality, but I think you're being inauthentic to your higher self. So I really resonated with that, you know, even at my work. So thank you so much, Tej, for sharing that.
thank you.
Mm. Right now, we just have a lot of comments in the chat, but I'm wondering if there's any other people. Feel free to raise your digital hand if you have any questions, if you want to have some release, you know, have some support from Melissa, go in the hot seat. But don't worry, it's not going to burn you, the hot seat. It's just going to warm you, you know, on the inside. Let me see if there's any other comments.
The burning is not a bad thing, my lovelies. The burning is just the destruction of what no longer serves,
Yeah.
right? Like Tutu Pele, which is the Hawaiian volcano goddess. She's one of the first goddesses that I surrendered to, right? Really taught me that you have to destroy what no longer serves through fire in order to create space for what you do desire to bring in. Right, so that's the dance of the dark and the light, of the good and the bad. Like that's why I'm always like, there's nothing good, there's nothing bad anymore. It just is. And when we let go of those energies of how things should be and how things should look and how we define things, and we just become more of a detached observer to our experience, it's more like, oh, that's why I do this. That's interesting. Okay, do I want to keep on doing it? No, not so much. What do I do? Hand to my heart. That's the most simplest one. What do I declare? What I do want to turn it into? And then rinse and repeat it. Right. But that's hard to do when you're not taking care of yourselves. When you're distracting, right? When you're people pleasing, right? When you're not sleeping well, when you're not eating well, when you're not exercising well, when you're not going into the nature, when you're not honoring yourself, right? It's really hard in that moment to put your hand on your heart and breathe. My 10-year-old goddaughter, I was doing an exercise with her. She was kind of in a panic, and I was like, put your hand on your heart and breathe. She's like, this doesn't work for me. Like, this doesn't work. I can't do this, right? So it's like, of course it doesn't work for you because you didn't sleep last night. Because you were up all night at a slumber party and you had 3 hours of sleep. So your nervous system is like on a right. So it's identifying, right? What do I need to do? What do I need to do for me? Like today I took 3 naps. 3 naps. Like I just felt suddenly overwhelmingly tired. I didn't question why. I didn't run to the coffee. I was just like, okay, park the car, close your eyes, take a nap. Realizations came through, right? It's like just honoring ourselves. Like nothing is the end of the world. It really isn't. Even if your house is burning down, it's still not the end of the world. Things will get recovered, right? So it's like, how do we look at us and feed ourselves first? Mm-hmm.
All right. Thanks so much.
Mm-hmm.
We have a digital hand that's raised. Glenn, feel free to unmute yourself.
I think I'm unmuted. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Perfect.
Okay, good. I've been reading, I don't know, are you familiar with Sanjana Elena? She's another semantic
Yeah.
healer. Her book is called Empath and Psychic Transformation Guide Abilities. Let's see. And transformation guide with shamanic wisdom and insight to unlock your secret gifts, embrace your shadows, awaken your shadows, awaken your potential, become an empowered empath. Anyway, I've been through it on Audible and I'm reading it now. I ordered the paper copy and highlighting through. Anyway, my question involves shadow work, and I've been starting this trying to access the Akashic records through quantum, and then there's also that's one. I was trying to figure out which way is the that you prefer, would recommend in terms of addressing shadow work, both on a conscious level and subconscious for the ones I don't know of. And then there's also from my ancestry too. So I've I guess the biggest question I have is those subconscious ones in the shadow.
Mm,
There.
mhm.
Um,
Is mhm.
which methodology do you have a preference for? Do you think, or just through meditation, I can sit and embrace the inner child and just have a like put a photo of a image of me before all of those problems manifested, and I can work through some of those through my meditation and that. But yeah, some of the ones I don't know of in the subconscious level that would reappear later, that would be holding or limiting in a way
Mhm.
as part of my empath. Do you
Thank you.
have any thoughts?
Yeah, thank you, Glenn. So what I'm hearing is, where are you subtly betraying yourself?
Uh, where am I betraying myself? I have an inner child, and I want to try to resolve some of those, uh, um, heal some of those past traumas. Um, abandonment might be one of those.
Okay. So are you willing to share an experience where you're abandoning yourself today?
Uh, uh, yeah, sure. I have, I'm married. I have a narcissistic wife. This is not going to work out. And I made a contract with her. Said we're gonna, if we have a child, we're not going to divorce. Now my child is grown, and I told her about um, some of the work that we could go through and so forth. Between her style, her upbringing, and mine, we're just too incompatible. There's too many different issues that need to be, it just won't mix. Um, um, so I need to resolve that. There's she is receiving and I'm giving.
Mhm.
And I'm tired of giving. And she's not, you know, she's not part of this relationship. She doesn't want to be part of,
Mhm.
this
Yeah.
giving back to me,
Mhm. Yeah.
So,
And that's a very normal part of the process, that one person wakes up and the other one doesn't. I had when COVID hit, I did a I have a YouTube channel, and I just made this really quick promo. And I said, "Did you wake up this morning to your partner and say, 'I love you, but I just don't really like you anymore?'"
yeah,
Right?
yeah,
Because during COVID, it's like now you're in each other's faces. Nobody's distracted, nobody's going anywhere, right? You kind of like forgot why you married them in the first place, right? It's like that's just the truth, right? So it's like, are you willing to surrender to the fact that the chapter is now over?
oh yeah. I just it's part of getting that out on the table. One, two, we've got so much invested. I'm in my late 60s, so it's kind of I'm kind of over the hill, it seems. I got so much stuff to get rid of. So there's complications, and but regardless, I think the awakening is more important. There's more work I can do on that side, and just try not to let that energy bring me down. I
Yeah.
can put a white bubble around me and
Mhm.
use that to block that energy, or I can breathe through it and get through it that way.
Mm.
Um, does that, I'm trying to cope as best I can, but there's still a lot of shadow work. I'd like to work with the Akashic records too, and there's still a whole lot,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that,
So it's recognizing in your day-to-day behaviors subtly where you're betraying yourself.
yep,
So you're betraying yourself with your wife, but I'm sure there's other areas in life where you're also betraying yourself,
yep, yep,
right? So it's identifying where in life you're betraying yourself, right? And then once you recognize that pattern of where you're betraying yourself, declaring to yourself how you're going to do it differently,
mm,
right?
yeah,
And then the experience is going to pop up again because that's just the way it works,
mhm,
right? And
right,
and when it pops up again that next time, it's going to have a different feel to it because of the declaration that you made,
mhm.
right? Now, what do you do physically on a daily basis? Do you
Ah,
run? Do you swim? Do you exercise? Do you
I go back to the creek behind me and meditate. I have a couple favorite trees back there. I talk to them. So
okay?
that's one. Let's see. I sit at my desk. I've got a lot of um, things I do here, but I'm also trying to get the house in order. I'm getting, trying to downsize, get rid of clutter, to give me back that energy.
Yeah.
I've been doing a lot of work in figuring out quantum. I'm also a scientist by trade. I'm retired. Um, and through an engineering degree and all that. So um trying to eat good. I've done some work with the seraphim angels. Uh, I've, I'm intuitive. I can talk to my chakra and get an answer. Or I can talk to God, get an answer. The I believe that. I am a creator.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay. So you said you talk to your chakra,
yeah,
you get a response.
yeah, oh my God.
You talk to creator, you get a response.
Mhm,
Okay. Stick with one of those.
okay,
Okay. Stick with one of those and let that be your be all end all. A lot of the times
okay,
it gets messy because we have too many different things going on. We have access to too many opportunities, too many possibilities, right? Like this is about rinsing and repeating. This is about um, creating a new neural pathway in your brain, right? By
yeah,
doing something over and over and over again, right?
yes, yeah,
So whatever feels good for you, talking to the chakra, talking to God, right? And this is why like the work is about like really honoring what feels good for you, because what has worked for me may not necessarily work for you,
mhm,
right? So what I'm hearing is really honoring on one of those practices that you've already done that works, right? That you
mhm,
tap in, you receive the guidance, and sticking to that one, right? So what have you
okay.
done with regards to receiving information that just felt solid?
Oh, I had a great conversation with God. I've talked to my relatives. I've had conversations there. I can ask yes or no questions of my higher
Great,
self and
great,
get answers through
great.
my gut. And yeah, so um yeah, I had a download the other day from God. I kept asking, who am I speaking with? Who am I speaking with? I just kept getting validation. You know the drill. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I
And
was
then when you exercise that, you're also strengthening your intuition. Because in the end, that's what we actually need to master is our inner voice, our inner guidance, right? Because we're always going out there for answers, right? How about we just learn how to trust what's coming from within? Like, I don't think God or creator is something outside of us, right? I think we are God, right? God is
yeah.
within, right? So it's like, how do we master that in order to be able to continue repeating that pattern, right? To be able to release what no longer serves naturally, right? To bring in what does serve. right? So it's like letting go of the intellectualizing of it. You already have your practice of going to the creek. Beautiful, right? Go to the creek, get yourself grounded, and then just ask exactly what you were asking me, right? Right? Just ask, right? And then once we start seeing that it fits, it feels good, we start getting more and more empowered in this process, right? Yeah, 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 Glenn. Thank you. Thank you for realizing that you need to honor yourself, right?
Yeah, there's so many things going on. It's like, where do I put priorities, on the awakening and and trying to free the subconscious of the shadow work. Working in the Akashic, in the 2 hours a day meditation. And so there's that plus the book I read the other day on I am, man, it was incredible. God was channeled and written, and it was just really eye-opening. So
Yeah, I got to a point where I stopped reading.
did you?
I got to a point where I stopped reading and I stopped going outside of myself to learn new things, and I just honed in within me, right? And then by honing in within me, I was able to become the channel to just receive whatever was necessary in that moment. So much so that I lost a lot of my memory, right? Like I really believe when we start losing our memory, it's because there's a lot of junk we got going on in there that's just you don't need. You know what I mean? Like we
Right.
just don't need it, right? Because like the more we have there, the more it's cluttered to receive what we actually need in the present moment. Right? I mean, you keep reading if you want to read. It's just I'm just sharing my own experience and how that shifted everything when I stopped looking outside and I just honored my alone time much more. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Cool.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
And Melissa, can I just share something on top of that with Glenn? You mentioned right off from the start about exercise. I'm
Mm,
fascinated with that, and I'd invite you to do that, Glenn, because I'm getting that you're very intellectual, the scientist, but what's needed is the physical. You want to be powerful? Well, how are you supposed to be powerful if you're not even powerful physically?
yeah.
I mow
Yeah.
the grass twice a week, so the 6 miles.
But something for you, Glenn.
Yeah.
You know, something for you. Like for me, it's like dance. For me, it's punching the pillow. It's boxing. You know, for me, it's in the mornings when I first wake up. Right, as soon as my eyes open, I start moving my body in bed. Right, and I
Yeah.
wiggle my way out of the bed. You know, it's like when you have that fluidity in your body, right? Not only are you becoming more fluid in your body, but you're releasing,
Mm.
right, what no longer serves, right? So when you're going to hug that tree's also going to take a punch, no problem.
Yeah.
The tree's there for you, right? It's not like I hate you, tree, that's why I'm punching you. The tree is like that unconditionally loving parent, right? That a lot of us didn't have because that's just the way it is, right? Right? So it's like that unconditionally loving parent that's just like, do you, boo boo? I got you no matter what, right?
Mhm.
That's like a true sacred union with a partner. It's like
Yeah.
you be all of you and I got you, right? But until we do that for ourselves, we can't really do that in a relationship,
Mhm.
right? Like until we learn how to love ourselves, we actually magnetize somebody that is going to be able to love us the way we
Mhm.
need to be loved, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I'd like to add, Melissa, you started off the conversation training from FU to thank you, right? Like we have everybody on this call, this virtual has met people who are narcissistic, selfish, those are people that are characters that are allowing us to become empowered. So do you want to add anything else about going from FU to thank you for Glenn and other people who are struggling with very difficult people in their lives?
Yeah, so it's like recognizing what their role is playing in your process of empowering yourself, right? So, like, what have you learned, Glenn, when you decided, okay, this marriage is coming to an end? What did you learn about yourself?
I learned that I was an empath, and um, I retired, and the awakening began, and I learned about these intuitive things. So this is a journey, and I also worked with the Veterans Administration through meditation. They taught me that. I went through biofeedback training for releasing energy. And so I'm learning how to, I don't know if I'm answering your question, but I'm learning as I go. I'm
You're
learning
learning how to take care of you,
to take care of me. Yeah. Yeah.
right?
I go hiking too. So that's the other
Yes.
thing.
Amazing. Amazing, right? So it's like the shifting from fuck you to thank you is like recognizing you brought them into your play. That's how this works. All our relationships, romantic or not, they have a divine purpose, right? And once we can see that, and 9 out of 10 times, it's like we can see it, they can't see it. That's okay. That just means it's the end of a chapter, right? So, what I would suggest doing is making a list of all the thank yous to your wife. Because there were good moments, right?
Mhm.
There were good moments, and there are beautiful lessons you've been learning in the process, right? And then once you're able to see that, it can shift the dynamic of how you can step into now starting your new chapter. And then
Okay.
I'm hearing also as well, forgiving yourself where you betrayed yourself in the marriage, where you didn't honor Glenn because you were trying to be a good man to your woman.
And my daughter, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Kudos,
Yeah.
Glenn. Kudos.
Sure.
Yeah. And we can talk further if you'd like after this. A complimentary session to everybody that's on here to go a little bit further and see if there's any way I can be of support or further support. Yeah.
Thanks much. But
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
And so, Melissa, I know that we have your website, right? What is the best way for people to reach out to you to schedule that complimentary? I tried to go on it and clicked on the Zoom, but maybe the link was broken. But everybody at the end of this call, we're going to have this recording. We'll be able to send it out, and we'll send a message with different ways to schedule a meeting with you if that for that complimentary session. But is there anything else that you want to say about one-on-one sessions with you as well as your upcoming workshops?
So the new sexy.love is my website. If you scroll to the bottom, you'll get a link to book that introductory session. And you're also going to see a listing of the retreats that I have taking place. September is in the Catskills for men, one for women. So for men, it's reclaim your inner king, right?
Mhm.
The queen needs her king, right? But if the king doesn't know how to claim himself first, then he can't claim his woman, right? And then for women, it's the wild woman unleashed, right? How do we really tap into all of those emotions? Because the beauty of us as women is to really learn how to dance with our emotions. We're emotional beings, right? Like I always say, like whenever we're bleeding as women, right? It's like, oh my God, we lose our shit, right? We have all this madness going on, but it's actually because we are the most open to receive the guidance. That's why they put us in caves when we were bleeding back then. They're like, we can't have these women be too powerful, like we need to like put them away right now, right? So that's the beauty of what's happening right now. All of this is becoming understood. That was just patterns and programs that we were running. And then Hawaii will be towards the fall, towards the winter, and it's also the men and the women. And I'm looking to create something for couples in Egypt and Morocco, but Egypt and Morocco as well, men and women, and then one essentially for couples too. Yeah.
Well, everybody, let's give a big shout out. Thank you so much, Melissa, for sharing your wisdom and your experience and We'll send out this recording soon, as well as please check out her website. And do you want to say it one more time, Melissa, just so that everybody got it? The new
sexy dot love.
All right.
At LOVE. We're creating the new sexy, my loves. Like awakening is the new sexy. It really is. Like I went on a first date, right? And it was so fascinating that the conversation was not like, what do you do for a living? Where do you live? What is your favorite color? It was like, did you get vaxxed and why? Do you know your mother and father wound? Are you actively working on recognizing what is no longer serving you? Like we're changing the conversation, my loves. And everybody here in this room, by doing your work, you're giving permission for the planet to heal. Because it's all about us individually doing the work. I don't think it's a massive thing. I think energetically it's happening as a global event. But it's not something from out there that's going to take place. It's going to create the shift. It's each one of us doing the work. And that's just going to multiply and multiply and multiply. And the tipping point is here, where we're at that. I've been hearing this for years, that there's going to be a split in the planet. People that are having this conversation, people that are not. Right? No fault to anybody who's not. It is what it is. That's the path that they're in. I feel like a lot of people during COVID left the planet because their soul was like, yeah, you know, I don't want to do that in this lifetime. Yeah, I don't want to look at myself. And that's okay. Everyone has a choice. Right? So kudos to all of you for making that choice and doing the hard work, because each one of you is going to be contributing, to living in the new earth, which the possibility of no war, love is here. It's at our fingertips, and it's in our everyday occurrences, right? And love doesn't necessarily mean always being kind. Love can also mean I'm calling you out on your bullshit with love, right? Yeah, because we're mirrors for each other. So
Melissa, I'm just going to give some final announcements, but before we go, on your website, if you click on media inquiries, you can get a Calendly link. But if you click on, it's just a glitch right now on your website. If you click on book a session with complimentary, it says page not found. So
thank
would
you.
you want us people to book a complimentary, like a media inquiry, just so that they're on your calendar? Would that be a good temporary fix or no?
That's a good temporary fix, yeah. And
Okay.
I'll make sure to put the correct link in the meanwhile.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Yeah. So thanks, Brad, for bringing that to our attention. And thank you, Melissa, for this great webinar. We'll send out that recording to anybody who was part of the meetup community who RSVP'd, as well as the whole entire community. We're growing, folks. We're like up to almost 200 people now. Like, this is crazy. Well, somebody's from Boston, Natalie. We connected. We actually went to Queens College together. Like, this is unbelievable. She said hi to Michelle. Michelle, you're on the call. She met us there. But upcoming dates, like what's happening right now. Next, this upcoming Saturday, July 19th, our meetup, we're going to have an in-person meetup. Donna, one of our members, is going to host it at her home. So please RSVP if you're in the Port Washington, New York area, if you want to check that out. And thank you, everybody, for joining on this great webinar. Oh, Melissa, you have something to say?
I do.
Go ahead.
We must always leave each other in movement. So I'm going to ask all of you to take a stand. Get up from your chairs. Get up from your chairs. All right.
We're standing up. Okay, I'm following you, Melissa. Let's do.
Okay.
What are we doing?
Can you hear it?
I can hear you.
You hear the music? All right. Michelle, hi. Nelly, thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Bobby. Thank you, Glenn. Everybody hands up. Let's go. Oh. Woo! There you go. Dance it off, guys. Woo! Do a little spin. A little spin. Eso. Beautiful, my loves. Thank you so much. I appreciate all of you.
Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you. I can't stand because my cat's
Thank you. Bye. Oh, I love the hearts.
I understand cat paralysis.
Yeah.
It's a real thing.
She rules my world.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Love you guys.
Okay,
Thank
bye.
you. Bye.